Hello, I'm John White.
And I'm Karen Devine. Tonight live at 5, the Supreme Court deciding whether bans on same-sex marriage are unconstitutional. Tonight we go in depth, speaking to an expert on the issue who just returned from the hearing in Washington.
Plus, we're heating up outside. You probably noticed. See what that means for locals as snowbirds begin to pack up their belongings to return home after another season.
And in response to this historic drought, one local city working to become a drought-tolerant destination here in the Valley. It's 5 o'clock. Time for news on the air and streaming live at KESQ.com.
You're watching KESQ, the Desert's news leader. This is News Channel 3, live at 5.
Tonight we have continuing in-depth coverage on the crisis in California as the governor tightens up regulations and pours out proposals of hefty fines for water wasters. One Valley city says it's moving swiftly toward becoming a drought-tolerant destination. News Channel 3's Laura Yanez is live in the newsroom with the latest on water-saving changes in Palm Springs. Laura.
Karen, city leaders say they're not taking the drought lightly, and more people want to help make Palm Springs a water-efficient place to live and to visit. You'll already notice some changes, but they do come at a cost.
It's a combination of immediate things and long-term things that will get us where we want to be.
Palm Springs making big changes to save water. The goal is to cut water use 50% in the next few years and 35% immediately.
As you might see, the medians on Tockwitz and several areas around the city are being converted to xeriscape. Our fountains have been turned off.
As the fountains go dry and drought-tolerant landscape moves in on Tockwitz Canyon, the changes aren't cheap.
There's a significant cost in this, obviously, because our infrastructure was built around the water irrigation that we currently have. So, for example, the Tockwitz median, that project from the airport to downtown is a $4 million project. The airport is going to be between $3 and $4 million. So these are large costs, and that's why they can't happen overnight.
The project, financed by Measure J money, means a boom in business for RGA Landscape.
We have been really busy because of there's people that are more aware of the drought now, or at least more aware of their water use because of the drought.
The city tells me it also plans to remove 17 acres of grass at the Tockwitz Creek Golf Course, as Governor Brown proposes fines of up to $10,000 for people who waste water.
Right now we're still in the warning and educational phase, but as these rules now become part of our everyday life, we're going to have to start doing some more enforcement actually.
So far, no fines in Palm Springs, but city code enforcement will be looking for water guzzling violators.
We need to look to the future, and we need to conserve, and even when the drought starts to ease up, if it doesn't, we still need to be very cognizant of water conservation.
So we can all always do our part. For more information about water restrictions where you live, you can go to our website, KESQ.com. Live here in the newsroom, I'm Laura Yanez, News Channel 3. Karen.
And Laura, it sounds like the city itself is being a good neighbor by implementing these new ways of saving water.
Yes, it's doing the best that it can as fast as it can, but again, those costs are becoming an issue, obviously a big barrier, but they're trying to work through it, and potentially they're hoping to remove the grass that's outside of City Hall, but that is a historic building, so they're going to try and work out that plan as well. Karen.
Okay, some things to be worked out. Thank you, Laura.
The season will be wrapping up soon here in the Coachella Valley as the mercury climbs into triple digits. That doesn't mean everyone will be leaving town, with more and more folks choosing to stay here longer and longer each year. News Channel 3's Danielle Gersh is in Palm Desert tonight with our live mobile newsroom. Danielle, more people staying here is good news for businesses, including restaurants.
That's right, John. We're here at Mitch's on El Paseo, and last week they started a special locals happy hour. It's something they do when season ends. You can get anything from sushi to glasses of wine for $5. And businesses like Mitch's say this is a way they say thank you to the locals who stay here year-round and bring them business all year round through the summer as well. Locals we talked to today say they welcome the triple-digit heat because it means snowbirds pack up and leave, and they get to enjoy the peace and quiet again.
Yeah, you can notice a real difference of the traffic patterns, and we were able to walk here today still, maybe 100 degrees out, but still very doable.
It's hot, but we enjoy the heat.
Now, interesting to point out, last year, this restaurant, Mitch's, closed in June for the summer. This year, they've decided to stay open through July, and a lot of the people I talked to today say they noticed restaurants around the area were doing the same. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when the summer rolls around. In Palm Desert, Danielle Gersh, News Channel 3.
We're getting closer and closer to achieving that goal of a year-round economy here in the desert. Thank you, Danielle. We are warming up in these final days of April. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Ginger Jeffries is tracking your conditions. And Ginger, a month ago you called our weather spring training. This must be summer training.
And a week ago I called for triple-digit temps today, and yep, we're on the money. 100 degrees your official high from today, 88 your normal range, but at least the good side here. We're on the warm end of things. We're not up to record values. So what's it looking like outside? We're sharing the wealth. Notice offshore flow taking our warm, dry energy and pushing it to the west of us. So Riverside, Temecula in the 90-degree game today. We've already fallen down out of the triple digits. We're on the warm side, but at least that duration where we're hitting our high temperature, it's kind of whittled down compared to the summertime months. So a lot of people asking, is this early? No, we're actually exactly where we should be as far as hitting triple digits. Last year, we started to see the mercury up in the triple-digit game by May 2nd, May 3rd, May 4th, and a week later, seeing numbers up around 108. Next 3 days for us, well, we've got a little bit of a change up coming in. Triple digits Thursday, still by Friday, but rain is moving into the Southland on Saturday. I've got details you don't want to miss coming up my full First Alert weather. Karen.
Oh, we'll see you then. Thank you, Ginger. A News Channel 3 follow-up tonight. A judge has declared Indio native Brandon Vandenberg convicted in the Vanderbilt University rape of a student on campus indigent. Vandenberg's attorneys filed the motion earlier this week to have the former College of the Desert and Xavier Prep star declared too poor to pay his attorney fees. They argued that Vandenberg has no assets and no income. The ruling means the state of Tennessee will have to cover some of the costs of the case. Earlier this year, a jury found Vandenberg guilty of aggravated rape for the 2013 incident in Tennessee. He'll be sentenced in June. And we're still waiting for official word on the cause of a duplex fire in Yucca Valley. It left 2 pets dead. The fire broke out around 9:45 last night along the 7,000 block of Murray Lane. Firefighters say flames were coming from the garage area. A family was at home when one of them smelled the smoke. They all were safely evacuated, but a dog and a cat died. Another dog suffered smoke inhalation, but firefighters treated that dog on scene. Damage to the house is estimated at $100,000. And a 29 Palms man is behind bars after leading officers on a high-speed chase in the high desert. It started just after 8 yesterday morning when a deputy tried to pull over 21-year-old Zachary Flores in 29 Palms. Police say he sped off on his motorcycle, reaching estimated speeds over 160 miles per hour. Now, they say he finally pulled over at the intersection of El Reposo Drive and Commercial Street in Joshua Tree. Police took him into custody. He's being held on $100,000 bail.
Karen, the U.S. Supreme Court may rule in just a couple of months on the constitutionality of bans on gay marriage in 4 states. It's a potentially landmark case. Tonight, News Channel 3 is going in depth on this issue after the court heard arguments just yesterday. Jeff Kors, the government policy director for the National Center for Lesbian Rights, is here now to talk about this. Also, I want to point out you're a candidate for City Council in Palm Springs, but we're not going to discuss city business today. Okay. We're instead going to focus on really what could be a huge case here for marriage equality. And you were in Washington yesterday. You were actually in the hearing.
Yes, I was. I was really fortunate to get to be inside the court. It was a pretty amazing experience to be there as they argued this truly historic case. And I think everyone in the court knew we were witnessing history being made.
And your group is representing 2 of the women involved from Tennessee.
Yeah, actually 3 different couples, 2 of whom got married in California. They were here in Palm Springs for an event a couple months ago, who then were transferred to Tennessee for work. So they went from being married with a family to being unmarried in Tennessee and losing the protections for themselves and their children.
So along with deciding on these bans in 4 different states, that's another issue that may be decided here, and that is if me and my wife move to any other state, we can move there, fine, no problem, file a joint tax return in that state, no problem, but you would not be able to do that.
That's exactly true. If my husband and I moved to one of the states that didn't issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples, we would be considered legal strangers, as if We were just two random people who happened to know each other.
Now, all the court watchers listen in on the arguments and they try to tell which way the justices are leaning based on their questions. And really, all the experts seem to be pointing to the idea that there are probably 4 on one side, 4 on the other, whose minds are made up, and it's all going to come down to Justice Kennedy.
You know, I think that's what most people predict. He's a swing vote in many cases. And this is an interesting case for him because he has been the author of the landmark gay rights cases on this court. He has been a huge supporter, but he's also been big on states' rights. So people were really trying to pay attention to what he was saying. And while he did talk about marriage having a history of being between a man and a woman, he talked about the dignity that gay couples want. And of course they want all the same rights and benefits and dignity that marriage affords. So I think we left pretty optimistic. But of course, with the Supreme Court, you never know what any of them are going to do.
I was talking to someone in the community just this past week and found out that Justice Kennedy, as it turns out, vacationed here recently. Does that kind of exposure to a state that has legal gay marriage and also has a very active gay community, does that kind of exposure, does that help in a case like this?
Well, I think knowing gay people we know helps, and I think that Justice Kennedy, I'm sure, has had, as all of the justices, have had gay clerks and have known gay people. You know, he is from California, and he was on the bench here in California before he went to the Supreme Court. But yes, knowing gay people makes a big difference, and just the tenor of the discussion, even from right-wing judges like Scalia, who years ago would call homosexuality an abomination, was very positive about gay people. So it really got into the legal issues much more than any of the moral issues. And that's a real change over the last 10 years in the court.
Final question. This could be decided in June. Is this the case that will decide this issue once and for all?
Yeah, I believe this is the case that will allow marriage equality to be nationwide and end this issue and allow people to marry the person they love.
Okay, Jeff Kors, Policy Director for the National Center for Lesbian Rights. Thank you much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
And we will wait and see what happens in June. Karen.
All right, thank you, John. A much calmer scene on the streets of Baltimore today. Next on News Channel 3000's protesting the death